far-right accounts accuse me of being secretly trans, and this is like me testing the waters.
Oh my god, I love the alt-righters and their dumb shit perspectives.
Again, I bring
Jiggle, 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 jiggle. Typically, I do prefer to lean away from IRL people, and I prefer to talk about VTubers. I prefer to talk about the VTuber community at large. Thank you for follow. Thank you for the support. But today, we're talking about a mixture of. We're talking about a VTuber that's talking about IRL. Howdy, Nico. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. Are you guys ready? Welcome in, welcome in. Don't let this face scare you, but I mean, it's kind of the feeling I got from just seeing this. Yes, I'm sorry. From just seeing this pop up on my timeline. I mean, it's relevant. It's REV. It's relevant to me because, you know, I'm trans. Yeah, we're. Thanks for sticking around if you decide to. Who knows? Maybe I will actually agree with Rev here for once. I did agree with his take on bisexual erasure in media. Let's have some fun. Oh, this won't be too fun, but I'm staying. Yeah, I haven't heard too much about the Chris situation, but it sounds like people are trying to take her down because, you know, trans
Have I done
people.
a good job? Have I done a good job?
Thank you for this up there. I love that alert sound. It's great. Rev really going at the anti-lolly community? Yeah, and like it does seem from this title, at least he's not
Obama.
We'll see what he says about trans people. This is a 15-minute video. It's going to take me an hour at least. Okay.
Obama.
Okay, let's get started.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So
Hi.
today we have a very strange set of stories to look at. We're going to look at a very bizarre video and some related tweets of some ongoing situations which involve the topic of lolly, of course, because it has once again been a huge topic of discussion on Twitter over the past week or so, and a lot of it is relating to the Chris from Mr. Beast situation that is ongoing, and because he tweeted about lollies, people have been making all kinds of new.
Right. I remember seeing that. I saw that Chris. How is Rev's audio quality worse? I don't know. It might be on my end because I have it too loud and it's peaking or something. Also, thanks. I like having Trump as the sound, but it is getting very repetitive, so I gotta mute it. But yeah, I remember Chris making a statement about enjoying that kind of content. And yes, this VTuber, I'm gonna say we're friends.
Theories, reaches, and really just mental gymnastics trying to draw connections between lolly and other subjects.
It's kind of because maybe the Republican Party likes to label trans people as groomers and pedos, and you know, the enjoyment of youthful characteristics make people think pedos. So they're trying to, my guess is, get people to associate trans with lolly, which, you know, I don't want to do it. Is there a way to randomize it? Maybe do that. Not sure if that's supported. I don't know. And it turns out, statistically, Republican Party tends to be far more likely to be the PDF files. True. I mean, like, there's only one party that supports child marriage. There's only one party that defends it.
We're used to people making unproven claims that consuming lolly makes you inherently a pedo and things like that. But
Unproven, maybe. Maybe. I mean, I don't have any actual grounds, but maybe.
today we're seeing a new stretch, and that is consuming lolly makes you trans. That is not a sentence I ever thought I'd have to cover on this channel.
And this is not a thing I'd ever have to think I ever thought I would agree with Rev on. Japanese lolicon means pedophile? Yeah, doesn't it? And wasn't it based off of, or at least its historical use, inspired by, Lolita by Vladimir, what's his name? Yeah. So, like, I don't want to directly call them that, but, like, every sign is pointing towards it.
Now, I saw screenshots of this popping up on Twitter the other day, and I
Believe that book's title is somewhere in the etymology. Yeah, that's what I was assuming. There is somebody on Twitter I'm trying to get in contact with to actually talk about the history of that, but like she's struggling with harassment of a ex. Or they're struggling with harassment of an ex. As a trans woman, all I can say is from an anime, I suppose. Yeah,
didn't believe it. I
Natalie.
thought this was some nice Photoshop or something. Like, clearly this is not real. Well, it is. It is a real video that we're going to look at. The clip of the topic in discussion here is only
Quote for you, 2012 report by the sexologist clinic in Danish government found no evidence that cartoons and drawings depicting child sexual abuse encouraged real. Yeah, I think there was actually a study that said if people or if PDF files did have access to the drawn stuff, it reduced the amount they predate the less they predated? Is that the word? The less they went after real children because, they got their rocks off that way. But like I still think it's I think it's sus and you should still go to therapy over it. I just don't think you should be, you know, completely excised from all of life because of it, but don't share it publicly, please. That's really where I am. Preyed upon is the term you were looking for. Okay, thank you. Thank you, buns. Or bunnies.
only a small portion of the video, but it's definitely worth looking at because
Cirrus went over Lolly stuff a week or two back. I didn't know he covered Lolly stuff again recently. I'd watched his video last year, I think. I had watched the video like at the end of the year and recently put out my reaction response. I basically agreed with Cirrus over it.
this man is claiming that one of the reasons why Chris
Xander Hall has covered this YouTuber before. I'm not surprised. I think even Vosh has covered Rev here.
might be trans now is because he talks about lolly. So before we press play on this clip, a quick reminder of everything going on. So about a week ago, Chris from the Mr. Beast channel came out as trans, and there's been a whole host of discussion about that. And one of the things that we talked about on this channel is some old tweets that have resurfaced from his account, most of them coming from 2016, 2017. And what I talked about in that video is the hypocrisy of how people are treating it. People who support Chris's transition are largely excusing all of the old tweets when normally they would still cancel other people over that type of stuff.
I personally think it's bad to be tweeting out, or I personally think it's bad that she's tweeting, or she did tweet out, nothing gets my blank crank and like some lolly. I think that's hella sus, but I mean, I still support the idea that she's trans and can transition. There's bad actors among every kind of group of people. Who didn't know that one?
And then people who are trying to attack Chris for being trans are ironically supporting cancel culture by trying to cancel him with these old tweets. It's a whole
Her.
mess, whole lot of hypocrisy. But one tweet we talked about was this one right here, where Chris says, "Nothing gets my knob a crankin' like some lolly."
Wait, that was Knob. They censored Knob. Snowflakes.
And of course, this is a tweet that people have been using to attack Chris and other trans people by saying that there's something pedophilic going on here and that.
Also, you can fake tweets. Yeah, but I'm going to be working under the assumption that they were real tweets, but I'm not like going to be saying, hey, person deserves cancellation because of a fucking 7-year-old tweet. People can change.
This is many such cases among trans people. And
Oh, I actually thank you for saying trans people instead of trans men there, because these right wingers, they get so confusing with their bigotry because, like, they're trying to make fun of trans men, or no, they're trying to make fun of trans women, but then they say trans men, and then, like, trans men don't deserve to be in the women's bathroom, and it's like, thank you for agreeing with us. Oh, Chris is going by any all pronouns? Oh, okay, my mistake. I kind of hate the liking Shota is immediately pedo to people. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that's like, hey, you like that stuff? You're a pedo? I'm like, don't share that publicly, please. I find it odd, sus. But, like, I'm not going to cancel you for your likes.
I came to the conclusion, I think this is a joke. The reply is to an account that is suspended. We don't even know the full context. And honestly, the discussion surrounding it is cancer. But we're going to hear what.
I mean, yes, Rev, anything coming out of Twitter is cancer. You should know that by now in your career.
What Michael here has to say about this tweet and the topic of lolly in general.
I don't know what this guy Chris meant by that comment, where he had made this whole comment about how much he.
I could spend the entire time correcting them on pronouns, but I don't care that much because they're never going to listen to me. And besides, apparently Chris is going by any all. Though there are a lot of people that do get super duper pissy. I just don't like the 1,000-year-old dragon looking like a child trope. I mean, if you're going to look like a child, can you at least act like an adult? Please?
Lusted after this genre of pornography. I'm not saying it means that he's a pedo. I'm not saying it wasn't even just a joke on Twitter. But what is undeniable from this is that this guy Chris knows a lot about porn.
So, kudos to Michael here. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Unrelated. I find that face very funny to be paused on.
Saying that doesn't make him a pedo for consuming lolly, or what we're more specifically trying to refer to as lolicon.
I thought lolly were the characters and lolicons were the people that consumed that kind of content. Isn't that what you explained to me, Rev? In like the first video I covered of yours?
That's a big step. A lot of people have been making.
Oh yeah, great pause game from Rev. He knows where to pause. He's been doing this for a while. I actually really like that from that.
That conclusion, a lot of people, especially on the right, who are attacking Chris, and give credit where credit is due. But you can see kind of where he is going with this. He's trying to say that.
Another side note: Chris is actually pretty cute here. Just saying.
Lolly is such a specific and underground genre of poontang that in order to be even aware of it, you must be some kind of hopeless degenerate, an addict of poontang. Like, it's a pretty.
That's because Michael Knowles hates all kinds of pornography and will call all kinds of pornography degenerate. He's just using this as a way to label trans people as PDF files. Goodness, I cannot get enough of your voice. It sounds like you're going between dancing on clouds before diving into the clearest lake and back up again. I told this to Sirs too, but you had left. Oh, thank you. There is a slight distinction between lolly usually means character and lolicon means the porn/people that are sexually attracted to children. Oh, so lolicon means both the adult or the non-safe for work content, not the adult content, but the and the people that consume it. Okay.
Far stretch. Let's see where he goes with this.
If you're familiar enough with porn to make a joke about this obscure sub genre of pornography, then
Sub. That's like a major genre of pornography. Like, you can't go onto the hentai databases without seeing that kind of shit. It is prevalent. I wish it was less so.
you know a lot about porn, which would seem to back up my thesis, which I said on the
Thank
show
you, none of
is
your
just
business.
a hunch. I don't know this guy, Chris. I haven't read any scientific study with a lab coat, but I strongly suspect that if you start to have a real...
I do love Knowles' anti-empiricism. No study in a lab coat. It's like, bruh, you're just trying to make fun of studies. Because I'm willing to bet it's because he doesn't know how to read. Michael Knowles gives me creepy molester vibes. True. Like, just, I don't like judging a book by its cover. But if you told me this face did some creepy, sussy shit on the back end, I would believe you without looking into it. Just saying. Also, because I know he's a bad person. Uncomfortable landmine to stumble upon. Yeah, it is. Don't get to feel super good super often, so I always just feel say it. I can totally get it. Oh yeah, I don't think you came off as creepy. I was actually very flattered to read that. Thank you. Sorry, Mikey, I got enough support to call it a thesis.
really bizarre sexual ideas and desires, it might have something to do with the ubiquity of bizarre, extremely high-tech pornography that is warping people's minds. And
right-wingers that accuse trans people of sexually abusing children disproportionately abuse children themselves or are fine with children being abused just as long as it's the right way. Yeah, like, they will say, excuse me, they will say any sort of talk about being trans is, grooming children. But then they're also the people that push back against Democrats trying to, get rid of child marriages. Yeah, exactly. The Republicans that vote against banning child marriage. It's fine for the child to get abused if it's by their parent or husband. I mean, fucked up, but yeah. To be fair, I read science news magazines growing up for fun and always loved the news one or the new ones when they showed up, but even I didn't have the ability to critically read peer-reviewed studies. Yeah, like I personally don't say that I'm super knowledgeable about that. I kind of defer to the experts that know what to look for in their studies. Yeah, child marriage is mostly about grooming a wife. No way. No way. And here I am thinking my partner should be an equal. Right? What kind of dumb thinking? Who wants their partner to treat them like an equal? I mean, besides everybody, right? Right-wingers are also regularly fine with it when a boy is being sexually abused by a female teacher. Yeah, they'll just say nice and then nothing else about it because they don't care. They don't care about the abuse of kids. They just care about signaling it to attack the people they don't like. As a nurse, I had to learn how to read peer-reviewed studies. That is good. It is. I actually want to figure out the skills that are needed. Tucker Carlson did live on TV. Of course he did. It's Carlson. But I personally want to figure out how to actually critically read peer-reviewed studies, know what to look for, that kind of thing. But like I don't have the education in it. I need to kind of figure that one out. I need to get in contact. I want you to treat me like trash, but that's because I'm a subby switch. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've noticed that, Pink. Their hypocrisy knows no bounds. Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. They literally just care about riling up emotion and getting you to believe what they say. That's literally it. Sometimes there's red flags in the trash studies. I've heard that, but I don't personally have the skills to figure out which ones.
That people write into this show even sometimes. They'll say, I got hooked on porn at age 10 and it's been a struggle for my whole life. Maybe that's something that politicians.
I doubt he's read anything more sophisticated in the back of a cereal box. True. Depends on the study. You can focus on the reading a bit at the beginning. Oh, yeah, in the overview. I don't know. But yeah, they typically have, like, up top, an overview of what they're going over. All the shit going on in the US is crazy to me, right? And I live in Canada. You have to mention it once per stream. True, Pink. I live in Canada. It's like, we're so close to you guys. And like, I see American politics as a warning sign, not just, funny orange man say bad thing. The abstract, yes, thank you, Angel. That's the thing I was thinking of. As you can see, I'm clearly not educated. But if you want to review it critically, you have to know how to be suspicious of the methodology, which is presented in a separate section. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That, I definitely want to look into that more.
Politicians should do something about.
So, obviously, we can all agree that having a poontang addiction is a very bad thing. It's a very real problem that our society faces.
I don't think it's a disproportionate problem, like too bad of a disproportionate problem. Any sort of addiction is definitely a problem, but let's not focus on, condemning sex workers. Let's just focus on trans people are not PDF files. Let's focus on that one, please. Crazy. Worried about the crazy in America for personal reasons. Can't imagine kind of crazy in your country's pants. Yeah, right? Like, Canada is supposed to be accepting and inclusive, but we're not. We appear that way, but in outcome, it's not the same. To children that were deemed sub-threshold for the GID didn't transition as desisted? Huh. I would... Yeah, please, link me to Rebecca Watson. I want to check out some of her stuff off stream anyways.
Agreed, right? But what makes Lolly out of all these things, or Lolicon, so special that it is warping the minds of people to become trans? It's a very strange thing. I don't really know. There's no connection, obviously.
The connection is Republicans want to call people like me pedophiles because one person like me likes the kind of art that you like.
But I don't understand.
Thank you, Dark Excalibur.
In case you've been in...
Oh, she's cute. They're cute. I don't know her. I don't know their pronouns.
How it's always Lolly that is like...
GID itself is overdiagnosis. People as trans or simply gender non-conforming. Ah, okay. Oh yeah, she's real life Daria? Nice! You believe Rebecca is she, her? Okay, cool. Because, like, I do... When I see, like, trans person, my innate bias is assume she, her, but, like, meaning, but yeah, there's even more crazy under America's hat, too. Yeah, there's so many people will just say Canada's not as bad as the States to just dismiss the terrible shit Canada does, and then we just never talk about it. Fun.
Singled out as this special category. It's just like the arguments where people say liking Lolly makes you a pedo. And people ask, well, okay, if that's true, then does consuming violent video games make you a murderer? And they say, well, it's different. Well, how is it different? Like, explain it to me. And that seems to be...
I got called a delusional degenerate groomer just last week. I mean, I was called degenerate just this week. That was pretty fun. Slapped them back on Twitter a lot. Oh my god, they love getting spanked. Did a lot of stuff on misinformation during the height of COVID. Good. But unfortunately, that didn't play a big enough role. We're in a terrible situation right now. California's not as bad as Florida. Doesn't mean California is perfect, and it also doesn't mean that California can still improve even if it's not as bad as Florida. But that's a part of the conversation where people just tune out because they say that, well, it's not as bad as the other one, so why do we got to give a shit?
Be the case here, like what is so inherently different about lolly and lolicon that makes it have a special effect on people's identity? It's
I think it has a lot to do with people get really emotionally charged when you're talking about PDF files. So it causes people to jump the gun and say like people who enjoy lolicon are PDF files because they like looking at depictions of children in sexual situations, and I don't want that publicly endorsed. That's literally it. Got called homophobic, gay, and a straight man LARPing a lesbian by the same person in the course of about 2 minutes? Holy shit, the jumping back and forth. Yeah, I think there was even like there was definitely an image like trying to compare Nazis to the trans peoples, and it's like calling us homophobic. Even though most trans people are gay too, they spout a lot of nonsense. They don't actually listen to or think about how stuff can actually work in reality. Breaking it down into crayons, the violence in games is frequently how do you pronounce that? Parodical? It's a parody and unrealistic. People can engage with that even though real violence would disgust and traumatize them, like action movies. Yeah, pretty much. And REV is making the argument that you can engage with that art in the same way without fully jumping that gap, which I do actually kind of agree with. We don't need to jump that gap. But like, in a lot of the places where you do see that kind of art, if there is a room for IRL media, guess what gets posted there as well? Canada, if you think you can help my ex hook up with her current GF. I am on the west coast of Canada. I don't know, maybe I can talk to him. Who knows? Irony is trans people were among those targeted in genocides that the Nazis did. Yeah, trans people were actually one of the first people that were silenced. I mean, I don't remember exactly who were the first people that the Nazis went after, but like the book burnings that the Nazis did when they took over really damaged or were really damaging to the trans medical history. Jews and trans people were targeted together. Yes, but I also believe there were anarchists and socialists as well, like the media pundits that were vocal about their dislike or disapproval. I think those came a bit later. Yeah, I don't remember the exact order, but I know that Jews, trans people, and the people that were public figures that pushed back against them, they were the ones that quickly disappeared first in the long lines of disappearances by that group of people. Oops.
It's a strange thing, and obviously also saying it's such a niche sub genre. That's not true at all. Like it's not that.
It's like modern fascists are most actively currently targeting trans people. Oh yeah, they fucking love us right now.
It's not that deep. I think most average people have at least heard of it, right? There's a lot more like depraved stuff out there that maybe you could start making arguments that it's warping people's minds a little bit. but certainly not lolly without any sort of evidence. Like, you can't base that off of a hunch. You know, in the high tech, like, I didn't know these cute petite anime girls are so high tech. Am I right? But yeah, that's kind of the sentiment, the main takeaway they're trying to say here is that consuming lolly is triggering some kind of gender confusion, which is weird. It's a weird code.
I'm pretty sure that was just an animation glitch, but that wink was actually pretty funny. Just saying. But yeah, you don't trigger gender confusion from just art. It's a lot of different ways that can trigger that, not gender confusion. I don't like that term. But there are war on abortion rights also going at the same time as Don't Say Gay bills, going on at the same time as more active trans genocide. Yeah, because like they focus on their culture war while, you know, actually doing stuff to push their policies that actively hurt people. What the hell was I saying? I forget. Keep talking, Rev. Oh, like some right, gender questioning. Yes, thank you. That was the term I wanted. That's why I don't like the whatever the hell Rev said. I forgot. Gender confusion. I don't like that term. It's gender questioning because you might be a little confused with how you want to present, but you're not confused, or you're not exactly confused. You're questioning how you want to present and how you properly identify. It is confusion, but calling it gender confusion, and then they also conflate it with, you know, just being trans, because there are people that know they don't fit in with that assigned group, like right away. You know, a lot of us have had that experience where I don't fit in with this group that I'm told I fit in with. And that is the confusing part. And then we figure it out. And then we're still told we're confused about things, when really we're not. We know who we are. We know how we want to live. It makes us happier. Where's the harm in it? Why are they pushing back? Why are they so fixated on it? You can't make someone trans in the same way you can't make someone cis. Maybe you can help someone realize or get them in place where they can safely explore, but there is no magic trans under your gender beam. Yeah, exactly. You can give people the ideas and the language to communicate how to, or not how to, but the way to how people can communicate who they are. And that in and of itself is a good thing. Nice catch there, gender confusion versus gender questioning. Yeah, I try to catch that stuff. I'm not the best, but I'm getting better. I thought I was trans for a bit, realized I didn't want to, put in the effort to get the feminine voice training, and then realized I just like wearing skirts in bright colors. I go by any pronouns. Okay, so that sounds like I'm going to go with, I would assume you're either gender non-conforming or non-binary, but like it literally doesn't really matter which way you want to present, which way you want to be referred to. You can be hella masculine and say, I want to be she, her. I'm going to refer to you as she, her. I don't care. I just care that people feel comfortable. I want people to feel comfortable around me. So I will refer to them the way they want to be referred to. It's not that hard if you actually give a shit about making people comfortable around you. And yes, voice training is hard. I started way down here, and now I'm up to here. It's been 4 years since I tried, or since I started. It wasn't overnight. It took forever. I have two chat streams. Yes, I am live on Twitch and YouTube. For the most part, my chat majority came from Twitch, but right now, it's pretty even between both. Yay!
Cope. And, you know, I appreciate trying to have a nuanced conversation about this, but
You do?
when you're clearly just a boomer who doesn't know much about this stuff, like, is it really surprising when you don't know much about lolly and kind of what it means and what it represents and the effects of it? It's
Thank
not
you.
very surprising, but I thought this take was entertaining to say the least. So speaking of Chris, there was a few updates I want to go over since the last time I talked
Okay.
about
Well, at least we're done talking about Michael Knowles. That took, oh my god, half an hour. Ah, love watching Rev content. So many ways to be trans. There's difference between gender identity, gender expression. Yes. I was noticing that you were replying to things that I didn't even see in this chat. Oh, yeah. I do have my chat appear on screen in the stream. So, and it should be showing the little icon of who is or where that chatter is, which chat. Technically, Michael Knowles is a millennial, though he's definitely a boomer in terms of how he thinks. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rev here was actually younger than me, so like if he was like a zoomer, I mean, I would call a millennial a boomer too if I was a zoomer cuz it pisses us off. It's funny. Okay, let's dive more into this. Chris Tyson, let's start talking bad about a trans person. My favorite part of right-wing media.
him. So a few days ago, I made a video talking about
I'm a millennial too. I was born in last millennia. My birth year is a palindrome. I will let you guys figure that one out. It's not that hard.
the Chris situation and mainly looked at his controversial tweets, including the Lolly tweet we just looked at. And I dismissed them all as just edgy jokes. Who cares? Not a big deal. But there is a set of new uncovered tweets that have happened since then that I
Early
do
Gen
want to
Z?
talk
Nice.
about because they at least raise some concerns and some related questions. And they all have to do with Chris's interactions with Shadman.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce those words because I can't read kanji. But boomer is often descriptive of modes of thinking. Yeah, that's kind of how I use when I call people boomers or zoomers. I'm not specifically referring to their age. I'm referring to their mental state. Sakura. Oh, okay. Thank you, Sakura. 2002 or 1991? Well, you're almost there. I wasn't born this millennia. Do people even know what a baby boomer is? Honestly, I don't think a lot of Zoomers know where the term baby boomer came from. They just hear the word boomer on the news and they repeat it to piss people off. I think it's kind of funny. Hiragana says Sakura and my account name is different. Oh. Yeah, I don't really know the intricacies of hiragana and katakana, but like I'm open to learn. I'm not a post World War II baby. No? I think my parents were. Or my mom, I think, is closer to Gen X, I want to say. Yeah, 91. That's when I was born. My dad was, he was definitely, he would definitely fall in the boomer age range, but like the very younger end of them. Gen X ended in 90 or in 1980? Jeez, I didn't know that. Oh, wow, they look very different. I mean, hiragana and katakana are quite different, so that doesn't quite surprise me. Natalie, you're the first millennial? 83. That's when millennials started being born. Nobody was born between 1980 and 1983 until Natalie showed up and entered the world with their beautiful presence.
Now, of course, Shadman is a very controversial figure on the internet. He is an artist who gained a big amount of notoriety
I've heard of Shadman
through making edgy artwork, including Lolicon, but he was essentially ran off of every platform, and rightfully so, once he started using real children as references for his not safe for work arts.
What the fuck? I am glad he's off the internet. I had no idea.
which included artwork based on Keemstar's daughter, the
What?
actress from Logan, and a few other examples. So he actually used real children and made not safe for work art based on them. That is when this becomes CSEM. That is child sexual abuse material. You are exploiting a child sexually. That is when the just a drawing excuse does not work. And
Yeah, holy shit. I got sussy vibes from Shadman, but yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of lolicon content was, kind of not even if it was based on reference of actual harm done to a child, but taking a actual child and then, making art of them. You don't fucking do that. What did I join into? Sorry, Nikki, you really shouldn't have clicked on this stream right now. But welcome to my usual kind of content, I guess.
even lolicons completely disowned Shadman at that point, okay? That is when it becomes criminal. That's when you're hurting real children, is when you're using them as a reference for sexual arts. You're putting them in a harmful situation like that. And the big question is, because Chris not only regularly interacted with Shadman's Twitter
Notably, only at that point. Exactly, Sakura. It's so funny. I'm gonna be doing game chores in a super wholesome game while listening to this. I'm sorry, Gold Dragon.
account. He even, in this one, as you can see, purchased some of his artwork. Now, the big question becomes, did Chris know about Shadman tracing real children for his artwork? That is a huge question, because if he didn't, I don't really know if you could make too much of a case about this. But if he did know
Clip it, please, Pinky.
about what Shadman had done and was still supporting him, I'm out of here. Like, no way. Like, screw Chris. Like, absolutely done. No more defending him.
I will still say that they are a valid trans person that did some fucked up shit. Doing bad shit does not invalidate your identity. That it is two completely different things that I really hate that there have been such a push of people need to get into 2,000 subs so I can send you super chats. Well, I do have Streamlabs tips, so that's there, and I do have TTS enabled. Shit, what was I going to say? There's a reason why, while NAMBLA was a thing, doesn't mean that the men in it weren't gay. Yeah, like seriously, you don't essentialize an entire group of people because one does a bad. It's like the people that say this one trans person did a bad, horrible thing. How dare you accept their identity as trans? Essentially trying to drive a wedge in between the idea that you can be accepting and people can do bad things. It's like, these are not mutually exclusive is my thing.
In any sort of a way, because that would be completely inexcusable. So that is the big question, and it's hard to tell based on the context. We're talking a couple years ago, and it's hard to know. He will never admit it, but I also find it very odd.
Yeah, like, I mean, we can't jump to any conclusions about whether or not Chris knew Shad was a piece of shit. I didn't know Shad was a piece of shit until this video. I'll only call someone by the correct pronouns if they aren't a criminal. Yeah, I fucking hate that mentality. The cisgender guy at school did a shooting, and I'm gonna call them a girl. Yeah, even that is so stupid. You're using identity as a weapon against people. Thank you, Pink. If we judge group of people by one bad member, then no one would be cis male. True, and I'm an ally. Cis men are valid. Imagine if that rhetoric was also applied to straight cis people. I know, right? Makes you think. It's so frustrating that you don't need to behave a certain way for your identity to be valid. That's just something transphobic people push to try and divide us. And we don't want to be divided right now. We need solidarity. We need to stand together or we all fall. That's why I'm doing my solidarity arc push. It's like the women who are super transphobic just because they're a major piece of shit doesn't mean you get to use sexist jokes and language. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a gray area. You don't like in the terms of Vosh when he had that spat with J.K. Rowling, and he had made the joke, "Women shut up and apologize more" challenge. I personally didn't have that much of an issue with it because he was pushing back against like the ultimate fart. And I personally don't like calling them TERFs, not because I don't like name calling. I love name calling, but they're not feminists. They are trans exclusionary, but they're not feminists. They're farts. They're feminist appropriating radical transphobes. Let's call them farts. Vosh is Vosh and will always go about Voshing. Yeah, pretty much. You can't really change him. And for the most part, he does great work. Why would I push back against him? They're more like reactionary fascists. Yeah, pretty much. Cis men are valid, please God. Hell, the male mental health crisis, please. I was moved to tears and felt like I was burning with love from a singular friend just told me that they were proud of me. I mean, yeah, there is so much isolation that cis men feel. I remember that feeling from before my transition. I know what it was like to live that way. I still feel a way of that. Oh, that's a great one, farts. Thank you. But I'm not the original to come up with it. But it is such an isolating feel that I'm so sympathetic towards it. That's why I'm so upset at the that mentality that you just can't, or that you shouldn't talk about men's issues, or that you shouldn't talk positively of men or whatever. It's just people being pissy. I want everybody to feel like they can talk about themselves. You can just smell farts. You see like a turfy video and you're like, smells like farts in here. But yes, men, everybody, I want. This all comes back. It's like declaring your pronouns as her, she. Yeah, I actually did that on Twitter for a bit. I switched my pronouns to her, she for a bit because it made people mad. Honestly, men's issues do need more talking about. We can't just ignore them because, let's face it, there's a lot of men that get ignored by the left. They need to be talked to. They need to be talked about. Their problems need to be addressed. Yes, everyone has problems, they just differ. And they all need to be brought to the table and discussed.
That Chris, with his nearly 1 million followers, has recently privated his account and he's been deleting tweets left and right. And it's just not a very good look right now. And like I said, my questions about this are going to remain for a while. I would like answers. I don't think I'm going to get it. But yeah, some pretty concerning stuff. But I would like to hear what you guys have to think about that. Shadman is obviously a very controversial topic, but yeah, we don't really know fully how Chris's role played in all of that. But there's another tweet I wanted to talk about, which related to the YouTube clip we.
Oh, look, he censored that person's name, but not their profile picture. It's like he doesn't care. But thank you for censoring the art. Thank you.
Watched earlier, another person saying that most lolicons are repressed trans girls, but y'all aren't ready for that conversation. I don't think anyone was ready for that conversation, honestly, because it's whack.
That is a pretty whack take. I I even have issue with saying that most transphobes are repressed trans girls. It's like saying most homophobes are repressed gay men. I mean, there's definitely some people that fit that, but I wouldn't say the majority of the group. At least not without evidence.
I have absolutely no idea how people are making statements like that. So I had to heavily censor the images, but basically someone was saying the male urge to be a lolly. And really that's all it is. It's just some fantasy people are having, or even jokes in.
The male urge to be a lolly. It is it is odd that they push that narrative. I don't like it.
Somehow now we're saying that
The overlap of in the early 2000s, the overlap of homophobes, especially homophobes with power being secretly gay. Yeah, like I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff where it's like yeah, conservatives certainly like trans porn. There will be a lot of conservative or Republican leaders or politicians that are like pushing anti-trans legislation and policies, and then they get found out to be, liking trans porn. Today, the trend appears to be that transphobes are disproportionately like to be in favor of sexually abusing children. It just seems that the reactionaries are the same kinds of people that are currently pushing against trans people. They were the same kinds of people pushing against gay people. They were the same kinds of people pushing against the women's suffragette movement, the same kinds of people pushing against the civil rights movement. Always the progressive movement that's getting pushed against, yeah, interracial marriage too. Um, it's always those people that push back against it and seem to call other people predatory. But then when you see who's being the predatory ones, it's those reactionary people. Interesting. It's funny how when you push the idea that trans people are perverts, you start thinking of trans people in a fetishistic manner, right?
most lolicons are repressed trans girls. That is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, only some.
And yeah, no one's ready for that conversation. It's not that deep. And again, it's border.
It's like that saying every conservative accusation is a confession. I mean, every kind of accusation is a confession in one way or another, but I mean, it gets super duper gray, super duper quick.
Lining on some kind of weird connection that I don't. I feel uncomfortable with the idea of saying that people who consume that content are repressed trans girls. It's like saying that they need a push. It's like it relates to like the egg culture stuff where you need to crack the egg. It needs a push. Very weird stuff, but yeah.
Okay, so Rev doesn't totally understand the cracking the egg metaphor. That's okay. I didn't assume he knew much about, trans culture, trans life, all that fun stuff. Cracking the egg just means realizing you were trans. That's basically it. For a lot of people, it's, an anime, it could be. A lot of people, it was Ranma Half. Other people, it could just be, for me, it was just asking myself, am I living the life I want to live? But some people need that kick, and that's where the term cracking the egg came from.
This isn't just exclusive to YouTube, I guess. People are making tweets like that. And yeah, when you have 84 likes on a tweet that has 64,000 views, that kind of sums up how people feel. There's really not a whole lot to say. You don't have to dissect points like this to really know that it's bad. This is a terrible tweet. But nonetheless, there is one final thing I want to talk about in this video. So this last part's going to be a little bit ranty, but it brings up some relevant points to everything we've been talking about in this video. This weird connection between consuming lolly content or consuming really just anime and other things like that, and somehow relating to gender identity. Now, when I made my VTuber model, or I was in the process of making it, I knew choosing an anime girl, eventually someone out there would try to claim that I'm trans or something like that. And you know what? Getting called that sort of stuff doesn't bother me. It's not ideal.
Hey, Townback. Also, no, I don't think Rev is trans for using a female avatar. I think it's weird that he's using a lolly avatar. I don't think Cirrus is trans for using a female avatar. I don't care what avatar you use. I care about the prescriptions you push.
But you know what? I'm secure in who I am. I am a man, and that's how I feel. Like,
Based.
being misgendered by people is not going to affect me. But I think it just shows how
I am not surprised about that, Blue 300. I would also not be surprised if he was called, or if he had said he was like sexualizing women or fetishizing women because he uses the avatar. It's just, I think it's a dumb argument.
obsessed people are with identity politics that they can't fathom the concept that I made this VTuber model because I like anime girls and I like to look at an anime girl. It's just like how people are trying to make the claim, we've talked about this on this channel, people genuinely believe that if you play a female character in a video game, that's a sign that you're trans.
I wouldn't say it's a sign that you're trans, but it could be a warning sign that maybe you should try a little exploration. Maybe you should try a little questioning. See what's up. Because anybody can do some gender exploration. Cis people, trans people, everybody. The people that do some bit of gender exploration and then go back to what they were assigned because they honestly feel more comfortable that way, turns out they were just not trans. Source Rule 34? I know, right?
That's crazy because I play female characters all the time. You know why I do it? It's not because I identify with the character, it's because I would rather look at a cute girl than a guy. It's just,
When you can make that argument for your VTuber because Cirrus is handsome. You can make that argument for your VTuber because you got to pay attention to your streaming platform. You're going to be paying attention. You're going to be seeing yourself. You want a representation that you actually genuinely enjoy. For a video game, if you're picking a female character because you want to stare at a female ass all game, why are you focused on the sexualization of that character instead of appreciating the art and the effort put into the environment made of the game, the animations of the characters, the AI that control the monsters you're fighting that get them to fight in different ways? Why are you focused on a character's ass? I'm a porn tuber. I don't think about sex as much as the people that claim they only play a female character to look at their ass.
just my preference for my entertainment. I would rather stare at the cute girl's ass all day than a man's. Just my preference.
Yes, I have played Genshin Impact. I'm pretty salty because I did a sponsorship for them and they never paid me. Mostly because I never hit the requirements.
But it's not my identity. And I've seen the horseshoe theory be
Oh, I know, it's great, but it's only partially great because it's like half the characters actually look like adults.
proven time and time again when it comes to this whole situation involving my model and some claims about my identity. I've had people on the far left and far right say basically the same conclusion, just using different ways to get there. And I'm avoiding showing any of these specific tweets because the people making them are obnoxious and I don't want to give them any attention. But I've had people on the far left make claims that I
Yeah, I was just thinking he's jumping into the horseshoe theory shit a little bit, huh? Or he's making the comparison between the far left and the far right because he's apolitical. And Cirrus, I get that you're self-conscious. I'm self-conscious about my voice. I would cuddle the fuck out of Cirrus, and yes, I have seen what he looks like IRL.
am a egg, which, in case you don't know what that means, that is someone who is trans or soon to be trans, and that they need a
No, it's not that they're soon to be trans, it's that they haven't realized it yet. Being trans is not something you get coerced into. It's just a part of you that you realize sometimes early in life, sometimes later in life. Took me 27 years to figure it out. You tell him that too because he doesn't think well of himself physically. I respect that he's on his weight loss arc, but like I do think he's a little focused on that. I should have mentioned that during our conversation. That I do honestly think he's a snack.
push, the cracking of the egg.
Also, radical centrism is still political. Yes, it honestly is. It's so frustrating that they claim to not be political and then they do this radical centrism shit. It's hard to appreciate your own looks, especially as male, as you're not complimented that much unless you're model level. Even then, model level dudes don't get talked about a whole lot. Even if it's more than, let's go with the term, average male. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Cirrus also struggles with the same kind of things that most men do. It's a lack of general population just being willing to compliment men on their looks, on their takes, on their feelings, all that good stuff. Yeah, I cried myself to sleep some nights wishing I was a girl. I had no idea why, but in retrospect, it makes sense. I was half girl and puberty sucked for that half of me. Yeah, I get that. And yes, there's a lot of terms that I use, either coined or independently coined or saw someone else using. That's how language works.
That you need someone to push what's typically a child to come out as trans and discover that they're trans, whether they really saw that for themselves or not.
Oh my god. You don't push people by encouraging, hey, if you like this feminine shit, maybe try more. Maybe you like that gender role. That's not pushing people to be trans. That's offering different ways for people to present themselves to, feel comfortable in their own skin. That's the important thing we want to push. Comfort.
The reason that stuff irks me is because it is largely associated with groomers. This is a tactic that
Oh my god.
groomers use. And I remember someone making that joke about me, and I got upset about it because they didn't understand. I'm not angry because you're attempting to misgender me. That's not why I'm angry. It's because you're using creepy terminology to me, and it makes me worry.
Creepy? Is he referring? This 2 minutes is going to take 30? Pink, this is a 15-minute video, and I've been this segment is already an hour long. Oh my god. Just Max who finds that body type hot. I look like a... Not going to repeat that part. We got shot with a communication beam at 50%. Hey, look. Balding just means you got a lot of testosterone in you. It doesn't mean that you're less valuable or less attractive. It all depends on the people you choose to engage with. Lollicon's complaining about people using creepy terminology. Lollicon's complaining about fucking people grooming them? Holy shit, Rev. I thought I was going to agree with you on this video.
That if you're so comfortable calling a whole ass man this term, who else are you saying it to? It's not a normal thing to say to try to push some sort of gender identity onto strangers on the internet. And on the flip side, I've had some far...
I don't think people should be calling Rev an egg merely because he uses a female avatar. I don't think people should be calling Finster an egg, even though he says so much eggy shit. Like, people should be allowed to determine for themselves the labels they want to use. I'm okay with saying things along the lines of, I think this person's an egg because of X, not this person is an egg. I don't like declaring those labels onto people.
Right accounts accuse me of being secretly trans, and this is like me testing the waters.
Oh my god, I love the alt-righters and their dumb shit perspectives.
Again, I bring these things up not because I'm insecure about my own identity, but it just goes to show how obsessed people are with identity politics and taking everything so deep that they can't fathom the possibility that I just like looking at a cute anime girl. And so does everyone else in this situation. Whether it's Chris, if he's actually into that stuff, or your average lolicon on Twitter, these people aren't looking to these things because they're secretly wanting to be them or they're secretly trans. All of that stuff is just insane mental gymnastics because, again, people are so obsessed with identity politics, they can't consume anything without making these far-reaching stretches to push their agenda.
He does have a point there because identity politics or identity is so core to every individual that they get super heated about stuff that they just immediately jump into it and they just start essentializing. They jump to conclusions. Double sucks since I have curly hair and have loved my hair since I was a kid. Oh, I don't know how possible it is for you to consult with a doctor, but if you have the chance, maybe talk to a doctor about estrogen, because hair loss can be tied to, there is anti-hair loss drugs. Elon Musk took one. There is hair restoration therapy. Some of it's not estrogen, some of it is. But yes, I would recommend consulting with I thought Musk got surgery. I don't know. I've just heard that Musk took estrogen. I've just kind of been running with it because that guy spouts so much nonsense. I'm just okay with it. Most people I don't like jumping to conclusions with. Fuck Tesla and Mazusi, though. Right-wingers and reactionaries do obsess much. Right?
But yeah, that is a very off-the-rails conversation, but one that I knew eventually I was going to have. But that is going to do it for this video. I know there was a whole lot going on, and praying to the gods this gets monetized, but who knows. But it's worth talking about, so share all of your thoughts about...
People literally push gender roles on cis people all the time. Yeah, like in the way they raise their children. It's just so frustrating when the only time they talk about pushing gender roles is when they're talking about trans people. They don't talk about how boys are encouraged to get into construction from a very young age. They don't talk about how girls are pushed into homemaking from a very young age. They just talk about how trans people are pushing gender roles on kids.
Today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Yes, thank you, Rev.
See you next time.
Okay, so I actually did agree with Rev on more than I thought there. I agreed less on other topics or on other spots with him. But like I'm going to be honest, it's extremely rare that I find a Rev video that I watch that I will, agree with 100% of the take. Wow. Like, serious, it's... Jeez. Love being a boogeyman to these people. Shake my head. Right? They don't really think about the people. They just kind of push their narratives. I mean, I do that too, but I'm not trying to take people down. Or rather, I'm just trying to. I want my disagreements to be known, but I don't want people to be attacked because I disagree with them. I mean, how is it so hard for people to really push that narrative?